Alright, I'm finally doing that video on how I painted black armor on my Deathwatch Space Marines. Alright, so this is actually take 2. I was gonna do a video on the entire paint plan for these Deathwatch Space Marines, but I'm having storage issues on my phone and I just can't make it. So you're only getting black armor. This is not a tutorial. This is mostly so I remember what I did for the future. And I'm doing a 2-foot. Josh is happy while playing the game standard, so it's not anything impressive. But I said forever ago that I was gonna do black armor video, and I've said it a couple times. So here we go. Here is my paint recipe for black armor for my Deathwatch Space Marines. So when future me forgets what he did, he will have a way of looking at this. Here you go. These are the paints that I used for the black armor. So I got black, have a cyan, turquoisey, primary blue, whatever, cold white, and pure white. And I'm just going to be increasing the mixtures of these as I am moving up through. All right, so I primed these guys in black, and then I mixed a 2 parts black, 1 part blue, and did 45 degrees from the top just to kind of give a little bit of a highlight and make a little off black that I can shade down later. Okay, so I mixed up a 50-50 mix of the blue and the black, and this is what I'm going to use to start my edge highlighting. All right, so we're going for a 2-foot standard, so we're going to be doing less and less as we move along in the edge highlighting. So I'm starting with the 50-50 black. I'm going to do every edge. I'm going to make this one pretty thick so that future edge highlights will show on top of it. And I'm not worried too much about being neat because, again, we're doing 2-foot standard here. So, you know, it's all going to blend together at that point. And the varnish I'm going to use later is going to blend everything together a little bit more. So again, going around all the edges, doing kind of a thick edge highlight, not worrying too much about being super neat, just trying to get something down to start working on contrast. I'm also going to do the volumes on the knees, helmet, and backpack. So that is after 2 coats. You can see I did the orbs on top of the knees and did a thick highlight around everything. Did something on the boots and on the helmet. Did an edge highlight on the top of the vent and did on the backpack as well. Okay, we're doing 1 part black, 3 parts blue. So on the lower half of the miniature, I'm just doing this on the sections that could be seen from above. So like the back of the legs here, a little bit on the boots, and the volumes on the knees. And then on the top portion of the miniature, I'm doing this all around the top edges that could be seen. And also on the volumes on the head and on the backpack. So we're not edge highlighting all the way around. We're going to be doing less as we move through because 2-foot standard and I need to get all these guys done. All right, I'm going to take those 2 tones that I was using and I'm going to mix a mid-tone between them on my wet palette, and then I'm going to throw in some glaze medium and I'm going to make a little bit of a glaze, and I'm going to use this to soften the transition on the volumes on the knees and on the backpack. I'm not going to do a lot of layers of this because, again, 2-foot standard. I just need a little bit to fuzz it out and that will be fine. So right here, you know, I have the 2 different layers, so I'm just going to use the glaze to fuzz out the transition between the 2. Doing that on the knees, doing that on the volumes of the backpack, and probably a little bit on the helmet as well. All right, now we're going up to pure blue. We're going to do just the corners on the lower portion of the miniature that can be seen from above, so the corner of this leg on the boots. And then we're going to do a little bit more on the top half of the miniature, still mostly focusing on corners but kind of extending it a little bit more, and then doing even more on the head and the volumes of the backpack. Alright, made my glaze, and I'm going to fuzz out the transitions here. So on the volumes on the backpack, just going to use the glaze to even out the transition between these two layers. Again, not a lot, 2-foot standard. It's gonna work out just fine. 1 part blue, 1 part cold white. Just going to put a dot at the very tip where these sharp edges meet. Going to add a dot on those same locations on the top portion of the miniature. Actually going to do a pretty decently sized corner highlight on the helmet and layer on the volumes of the backpack and a little bit on the knee. All right, I did some tiny dot highlights of the cold white and then some more volumes of the backpack, then a 50-50 cold white pure white, and then a tiny edge highlight of white just on the backpack. And that is how it all kind of comes out. These tiny fiddly bits are hard for me to record on my phone, so I didn't do it, but you can kind of see the results there. All right, so you can see there's a lot of other stuff that was done, and I ran out of storage on my phone, and I couldn't record. Well, I could record, but I couldn't produce or export or whatever. I couldn't give you the whole video. So black armor done, skipping ahead to the point where now I would do the shading of all the black, and I'm going to be doing that with an oil wash. So this is black oil paint and mineral spirits mixed together to get a consistency pretty close to non-oil, and loading up my brush, dipping it off on the side of the little pan, and then normally I would poke a paper towel, but I forgot to do it this time. So there was a little bit too much of the oil wash on when I did this little in-between armor bit, but once it kind of moves on, you can kind of see how it works a little bit better. Normally, if you dab it off, you'll have just enough oil paint that when you touch the recess or the edge or panel line, the black wash just kind of jumps off your brush and runs along the side. You'll see it as we kind of move through, and I'm just going to go through. I'm going to hit all of the panel lines. I'm going to hit all the recesses. Sometimes you get a little overspill, but it kind of makes a nice little transition anyway. And again, this is a 2-foot standard, so it all looks great from when you're actually playing, or at least in my opinion, it looks great when I'm actually playing, and I'm happy with it. So that's all I'm doing. So I'm going to do this across the entire mini, and then do a second pass in areas that I would like to be especially darker. So there you go. That is the last step on the black armor, and here's what it looks like across the whole mini. And there you go. Finished her off with a varnish of this Winsor & Newton matte varnish. It says matte varnish. It's actually more of a satin. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but there's still a little bit of shine. But I like it anyway, actually. I think I'm going to continue using it on my Space Marines. If you want something that's really matte, then you should probably find something else. There you go. Hopefully I'm able to upload this video, and if you enjoyed it or if it was beneficial, great. I will talk to you guys next time.